Once again, thank you if you're watching, if you have taken time to be here, or if you watch this video anytime later. I welcome you and would love to have you as part of this live or a recorded video. And please do share your comments. If you want to be part of my inner circle, do leave a comment, do leave your message, and I'll be happy to connect with you beyond this video. Today is a super interesting topic that I want to share with you. And if you're here, you might have already seen it. The topic is about really how to use design thinking to improve customer experience. In the previous videos, I've been talking about how to get job breakthrough, how do we leveraging the power of CX certification. In this one, I'm going to talk to you about how to use design thinking to improve customer experience. And that's one of the core of designing great customer experiences. And that's true for digital channels, that's true for physical channels, that's true for omni channel experience. And design thinking has really brought in a lot of innovation and a lot of new perspective in designing experiences. And a lot of companies have truly embraced it, and many companies are now started to adopt it, started to leverage its power, especially the way it brings the outside in perspective, the customer's perspective, and the way it brings the teams together. And if you have multifunctional, multidisciplinary teams, whether it's sales, marketing, service, finance, HR, you can bring all of them together into one common place and help them think from the customer's point of view. That's the power of design thinking. Design thinking is not something which is new, but in the area of customer experience, it's still getting its recognition, getting its application by the day, right? So I really want to begin by talking about the most common design thinking models. And that's really the cool part of it. The design thinking model always, you look at interactiondesign.org model, you look at Stanford model, all of them have got standard steps. Any guesses what are those standard steps in design thinking? The first step always is what? I just want you to guess it. Always is empathize. Now, I always get fascinated by this simple word, how powerful it is and what kind of depth it can bring into the perspectives when especially we are trying to put ourselves in a customer's shoes. Now, empathy in its definitions is simply being able to put yourself in other shoes. And look at it, the design thinking model, every design thinking popular design thinking model out there starts with empathy. So that's the first thing, empathizing, putting yourself in your customer shoes. And there's no limit to that. You can really spend just few seconds observing them, you can spend few minutes, or you can spend few days, or you can even spend years. There's a science called as ethnography, where you spend years understanding the culture of your prospects for whom you're going to create certain services or products. So that's the first one, the empathy. The second one is definition or defining. What are you really trying to create experience for? What is it that you're trying to improve? What is it that you're trying to innovate on? So that's the second step after empathy is defined. The third is ideation, where you actually use divergent thinking to look at different possible ways of looking at the problem or looking at the area where you want to innovate. And you bring multidimensional thinking, you bring different wide perspectives into that to help you create new ways of looking at the same thing and help solve. And that's where the innovation truly comes out from. And then prototyping. Again, prototyping is not something which is new, but in design thinking, prototyping has a slightly different spin. And do you know what is that? The prototyping in design thinking is actually, it helps you to do it faster. You bring the customers and you co-create with them, and the prototype could be just a very simple base model, and on that you start conversations, on that you start even experience trials. So the basic thing is you don't have to perfect it. Of course the prototype has that idea, but if you look at, let's say, an automobile, they have prototypes where they are running on the road and they're getting tested, but they are far ahead in their finished stage. Whereas in case of design thinking, the prototyping can be really, really premature. But there's a reason for that. It invites the insights, invites the new ideas early on, so that they can you the prototype can be way different than what the end outcome could be, right? And the final stage is testing, the testing experience, where you test the whole idea, the strength of it, and pilot it and see how robust is it and how the customers are looking at it. I remember I was invited to NASCOM event where there were R&D folks, there were engineers, there were more than 250 people as part of this event, and I was talking about the how to use empathy to design technical products or technology, technology, how to blend technology and empathy. And there was a common question that a lot of people asked, that is empathy a good thing? Because you might be seen as soft. I think that really that probably came from a very different viewpoint. Empathy in customer experience is really a powerful strength, a powerful tool to use. If you bring more of that, more you understand your customer, the better you're able to create experiences. In fact, let me quote what Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple Computers, actually said in one of his visits to one of the colleges. He said, people will try to convince you that you should keep empathy out of your career. Don't accept this false premise. So he's encouraging, Apple is super customer centric company, and he was encouraging these graduates who were going to step out into the world to make their mark. He was encouraging them to bring in empathy. So that's something super valuable as part of design thinking model. You are able to bring all the people in your company, in your team, towards customers perspective. And design thinking, if we have to define it, let me share the definition of design thinking. Design thinking is, as per Tim Brown, the CEO of IDEO, which is a leading design thinking agency. He says design thinking is a human centered approach to innovation that draws from the designer's toolkit to integrate the needs of people on one side, the possibilities of technology on the other side, and the requirements of the business success. So you bring in this tool of design thinking, you bring in the people's needs, and then together you do something which is also good for the business. So it's a win, 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 right? So I have seen companies in the last few years training, and there are 300,000 employees on design thinking, whether they are in sales, whether they're in pre-sales. And again, the reason is that they want all their team members, every single employee, to become proficient at thinking for the customer. And how powerful is that? Right? That's so amazing. And as a part of design thinking, we do something called as a customer journey mapping. If you're watching this now, or if you're watching it later, do share what do you know about customer journey mapping. Have you use in your organization? Have you heard this term, and how are you using it? I'll be happy to hear from you. If you are watching this live, or you watch it later, feel free to share with me how are you using journey map as a part of design thinking. The journey map actually helps you bring your customer's perspective in from outside into the company, and you're able to see things which you would have missed out otherwise through your customer's eyes. And you also see things which you've already known with a very fresh eyes. And not only you, but your entire team, but all the stakeholders can see that in a different, unique way. So let me share with you a very interesting and a powerful design thinking story and how it was used in a particular situation. It was used in Denmark by a municipal corporation of Holstebro, where this municipal corporation was trying to improve the quality of food for the aged people. They had a municipal kitchen which used to cook food for the aged people, and wanted, suddenly they realized that these aged people are actually not taking care of themselves. They are not ordering food, which means they are not eating, and they got worried about their nutrition. So they wanted to do something to improve their nutrition, and they were not able to get a handle on this. So they thought, let's try something different. So they hired a design agency called as Hatch and Bloom, and they gave them this project that, can you help us improve the offtake of the food for the old people whom we are worried about. Now the design agency has a very different way of working. As I told you, they just don't look at the problem at the face of it, but they look at it as an onion and start to peel layer by layer to reach at the bottom and want to see really with depth. That's what they exactly started to do. And the statement, which was earlier to improve the offtake of the food, started to look very, very different. And what they did is, they first observed these aged people, old people, and they realized their behavior pattern, their thinking pattern, their psyche. These people were staying alone. Their kids were away in far off places, and these people had really lost that zest for life, and they didn't wanted to eat, cook for themselves. They really had low morale, and on top of it, a municipal corporation kitchen van comes onto outside their house and delivers them the food, which tells the whole world that they are incapable, right? So that was also putting the pressure on them, and they were not ordering too much of food. This is all they found out. They also found out that, whether the quality of the food was really bad. They found out the cooks who were cooking the food, were they really good or not. They interviewed them, they watched them cook, and they found out they were really good people, but they had no idea how their prospects, these aged people, were feeling. So they brought these different communities together. They brought the cooks, they showed them how they feel. They also brought in other agencies, all the sourcing agencies, all the multidimensional team who were involved in serving these people. They really changed the names of the dishes, the packaging. They also changed some of the ingredients and made it more innovative, and repackaged the whole thing. They changed the name of the kitchen from Municipal Corporation Kitchen to Good Kitchen, so that it sounds good, right? And they repainted that municipal corporation van. Imagine a municipal corporation van standing outside your house, which looks dull and standard, that dirtily painted. They repainted it to look it like vibrant. And the moment they started to make these changes and started to deliver new food in a new way with new zest, within a short period of time, certain dishes offtake increased by 500%. Of course, on the business side, the profitability also really zoomed. So all these changes together made a huge difference. Use of design thinking helped them empathize, really look at the problem through a different perspective. In the ideation stage, they could bring everybody together, and in terms of really then launching it and prototyping to launching it, they were super successful. Right. So let me know if you heard this story of Good Kitchen. How do you like it? What's been your learnings? So if you observed it keenly, one of the things that stand out in design thinking and is super powerful is the opportunity to immerse yourself in the ecosystem of the customer, and this immersion cannot be substituted. you know a lot of people ask me this question: can you train others for empathy? Can you build empathy in people, which is the cornerstone, which is the foundation of use of design thinking to improve customer experience? Whether you're in the physical world, whether you're improving technology, whether you're designing iPhone, whether you're designing a robo who's going to do work in the kitchen, all that, right? So any situation, empathy can be taught. The neuroscience of empathy, based on certain research, which is also published in Harvard Business Review, is that when you observe someone, naturally our neurocircuitry started to memorize and started to mirror the circuitry of the person whom we are observing. So suppose if you come with me for a lunch and we spend time together, there's a high possibility that you would not only learn more about me but will become much more empathetic towards me. Have you observed this? Have you gone out, taken your team for lunch, or if you've gone out with someone who is unknown to you, and then you spend 1 hour with the person and you're way more empathetic, right? That's why they ask you, would you like to join me for a lunch and all that. So this is an example where you, and imagine if you could do more of an immersion of observing other people do their work. In a lot of customer experience is about spending time in the ecosystem of other people. Let me give you another example from the information technology space. How many of you are from the IT space, IT services space, are involved in delivering services to your client which are remotely placed, which might be, you might be on certain shore and they might be on site, as they say it, and you might be offshore, which is away, at your shore. So I have seen magical results when we allowed in the on site offshore delivery model, especially in the IT services space, instead of sitting remotely and working on the computer. When somebody gets to spend time with their client on site, which is where they are sitting and the action is taking place. So if you want to increase the empathy, then the best way is to have your teams spend some time. If you can't move all your people in the space where your customer is, then it's probably a good idea to even show them over the video how is it like a life in the day of your customer, right? That way they will come to know so much about the prospects or the customer, and they will naturally feel much more connected. So how does this whole process work? As I've told you about this whole process of from the empathy to defining to ideation to prototyping to testing. This is the whole process. So, this structure actually is a powerful structure for innovating, powerful structure for bringing the teams together. It also thrashes down these walls of politics and silos and bring everybody together with customer at the center. I have facilitated several customer experience workshops using design thinking, and several journey mapping workshops. And every time I'm amazed at how simple aspects which were taken for granted just surfaces, and how the entire team just lights up with the clarity about the customer. And there's a huge appreciation for others' point of view, and for especially for the customer's point of view. In fact, there's a practice in Amazon, if you're aware, that they leave one chair empty. There's a popular process where they assume the customer is sitting and then they have a conversation around that. So this whole process of bringing customer in the room through various ways, design thinking is one of the ways to do that. I would love to hear from you if you're watching this, and if you have any comments and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those. Feel free to connect with me even after this session, which is live here. It's also getting relayed live on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel also, and if you want to be part of this group of CX professionals, do let me know. I'll be happy to share with you how to be part of that. So I really enjoyed my time here talking about design thinking to improve customer experiences, which is one of the most powerful ways to enhance customer experience, irrespective of the technology you use, irrespective of the industry you're from, and irrespective of the channels through which you're engaging, whether you're improving product experience, whether you're improving brand experience, whether you're improving customer experience or employee experience. Basically, the way we call it experience, across different domains, you can use design thinking to improve the customer experience. Thank you so much. I would start to wrap it up now. I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Till then, bye bye. Thanks for being here.